Yo, what's good, man? It's the Easy Pinch Out Podcast with your one and only host, Glory Boy, back here with another special interview. As you know, let me not call it an interview because this is just going to be a good conversation. They're going to get to know you, right? Just something simple but very powerful. And this first segment is just going to be a short little performance. I want you to show them, what you got. You feel me? And before that, just introduce yourself. Tell them who you are and where you're from.
All right. So my name is MC Queen Solar, the community's daughter. I am from Buffalo, New York. And I think I still love to say that I represent the East Side. For some reason, I just love the side of Buffalo I represent.
Nice. The East Side. So you're from the East Side of Buffalo?
Yes. Born and raised. And still representing it. I love something about the culture of my neighborhood, not always the best in image, but it's going to improve. Yet I do love the connectivity that made me the woman I am, which is the community's daughter.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. And so Queen Soul, are you ready to give it to them? Are you ready?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's do this.
Let's go.
Yeah. Well, come on. I wasn't ready. Well, I'm the new girl in the new town with him. He was talking about how he wanted to fix my M. Looking like someone was coming undread. I thought it was the things that he put in my head. He came closer, his aura like no other, I said. Thought it'd be the one that I'd be giving some head. But instead he said, let me back up. Cause if not, he might think I was a slut. I wasn't ready for the things that he put in my head. No, what he was doing in bed, he was making me mad. I wasn't ready for the things he was making me fire. What? He was gassing me up. I wasn't ready for the things he was making me suck. He was coming to town, wasn't ready cause I knew he was putting it down. I was not ready. I said I wasn't ready. Well, I was ready, but I really wasn't ready for this. I had to slow down, I had to dismiss the fact that I was spitting out flowing real good. Oh yeah, I recollect that his loving was smooth. Thinking about the things we could do one day, the potential of the fact he was looking my way. He had me feel how I'm feeling, calling me baby. He psyched me up and I was giving it up. And the fact that I was spitting, it was never enough. It was too much, oh yes, my love was too tough. Now here I go, spitting again, I give up. I give up, I give up. I give up. I wasn't ready for the things that he put in my head. No, what he was doing in bed. So he was making me mad. I wasn't ready for the things he was making me pass. What? He was gassing me up. I wasn't ready for the things he was making me suck. He was coming to town. Wasn't ready because I knew he was putting it down.
You know why I paused it for a little bit? I wanted them to actually hear that it wasn't the song just playing. It was this woman singing, bro. Do you hear that voice? Come on, let's go back to it, right? Come on.
Now listen now. Here we go. It's the same scenarios. This is how it goes. I'm telling you, you must not know. Love can make you do certain things. I don't know how you hide behind the ring. It be the one who be giving it up. And if you're not in love, then what the what? See, he was doing him and I was doing me. I don't even know how we act like it wasn't more than 3. I wasn't ready for the things that he put in my head. No, what he was doing in bed. He was making me mad. I wasn't ready for the things he was making me pass. He was gassing me up. I wasn't ready for the things he was making me suck. He was coming to town. Wasn't ready cause I knew he was putting it down. I was not ready. I said I wasn't ready. No. I wasn't ready for the things that he put in my head. ready, wasn't ready for the things he was doing in bed. Wasn't ready for the way he was making me mad. Wasn't ready for the things he was making me pass. Yeah. I said I wasn't ready.
Oh my gosh. I wasn't ready, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so beautiful.
Thank you.
That was so beautiful. Like, it was like spiritual, you feel me? Like, he caught me. Like, I was like, I couldn't stop smiling. I was like, oh my God, like, come on, keep going, man. Keep singing.
Thank you so much.
That was amazing.
Thank you. That came from a place, you know, of being a young woman and experiencing relationships on a whole nother level that I wasn't ready for.
Right.
And I had to go through some things to realize, like, oh, I was passing up opportunities chasing this cat. I was, you know, everybody like, oh, you was make passing, sucking. I was like sucking my teeth because I was mad. And I'm a domestic violence survivor. Right. So when I think of not being ready, I think of the mentality that I was in, thinking that back then that's what I deserved.
Definitely.
You know, and now I know, like, yeah, I'm better than that.
Better than that. All right, man. So we had to give you guys that little performance at first. Mm-hmm. So now let's go ahead and get straight into the interview. Let's go. All right, man. That was an amazing performance. Appreciate you for giving us, you know, that nice kickoff before this amazing episode that we're going to have today.
Man, I want to thank you for allowing me to be here today.
No, thank you for taking time out of your schedule for and being here, because I know you're busy. You know, you have performances, you have this a lot of things going on. So it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
But yeah, so like we were talking about beforehand, before your performance, we were mentioning where you're from, and you say you're from the east side of Buffalo. And how was your life basically just growing up in that area of Buffalo?
For me, it was interesting. I would say I grew up in every part of Buffalo. I lived near MLK Park. I lived off of Bailey. I lived in Kaisertown. I lived in, you know, Shadyville. I lived off of Fillmore. I lived in North Buffalo for a minute. I went to school in South Buffalo. Like, so for me, my experience living on the east side is a base because all of my family is there. Right. Yet I'm a Buffalonian through and through.
Wow. So, I mean, you was just all over the place. And what was that, though? Like, why were you moving like
displacement? Come on, let's talk about it. It's not normal, but it was some people's normal. Like my parents and then, you know, not even just my parents. I think as I got older, I was what my grandmother called, she called me a gypsy. Like I had that spirit where I'm like, I want to see what's over there. And then I want to see what's over there. And then, you know, I want to see what that community is like. So I think for me, it was finding the different places that can show me this city that I lived in. I've always been attracted to my city.
That's amazing. I mean, shout out to Buffalo. And now, as you can see now, Buffalo is not becoming the city of good neighbors like it used to be. You know.
You know, it's evolutionizing. That's a new word. If it isn't, I'm going to make it one. It's evolutionizing itself, and I believe that if we pay close attention to what matters in this city, because I always say this on every platform I can't speak for other cities because I don't live in other cities, right? I see the blueprints of them, but I do know my city like the back of my hand. Right. And if we would look at the fabric that makes our city so valuable, I feel as if we would see the difference. You're a young man and I'm in your studio and I'm blown away by everything that I see here, by how you contacted me, how you got me here. If 5 more of me can reach out to 5 more of you and create 5 more outlets for you to do this on another level, I feel like that's the direction that Buffalo can go in, right? Because it's a lot to capture, right? Definitely. So I use that as one example. So everything else is the other pieces of thread that Buffalo has to offer, not to mention food, right?
Yeah, Buffalo got the best food, man.
All day. Like,
everybody that comes here, they're like, nah, Buffalo don't got the best food. We got the best pizza. The most funniest thing is people from New York City saying they got the best pizza. When let's not talk negative because I don't want.
Well, no, that's not negative. This is called food comparison, and I'm a food critic. I'm a foodie. This is not a negative thing. This is honest. If we was in Chicago, they'll be saying deep dish. Let me tell you something about Buffalo. I won't even go on the pizza. I'm gonna let people have their life because if you like a Sicilian slice, guess where you can go? Gino and Joe's downtown. I'm just saying you don't have to go all the way to Brooklyn. I didn't want to put that out there, but I'm petty like that. That's why they call me queen. Yet in Buffalo, I've learned that we can eat all across the country. All across the world. Like, we have the best Greek food, we have the best Italian food,
true.
we have the best soul food, we have the best Ukrainian food, we have the best Japanese and Chinese food. Like, everything is authentic.
Come on, say it one more time. We have the best.
Everything, all the best food, the best Chinese food, the best Greek food, the best soul food. Yes, we have the best chicken wings. I'm sorry, it's true. We have Lenova's and Just Pizza. All the shout out to my faves, right? And not to mention, we have a community that will tell you we have the best. Okay.
Amen. We have the best everything. But the one thing that kind of pissed me off about Buffalo though is the potholes. Like,
listen, that's not the worst thing. Let me talk about it. They called me the community's daughter, so I'm gonna adjust my crown and we're gonna talk about my city. I'm gonna need you to talk about it properly.
All right, gotcha.
Because I just had this conversation with my little sister. Big shout out to my little sister who thinks she's my big sister, right? And she was like, I'm gonna get them speed bumps on our street, and I just want the speed bumps. I can't stand the speed bumps.
You don't like the speed bumps?
No, for what? For why?
I feel like I like them because for safety. I know. My condolences to the family friend. Their family because they lost a kid because some guy was speeding in the neighborhood. That
I understand, right? A speed bump at the end of a street or possibly in the middle. You feel where I'm going? And you got I'm trying to help you out here. Watch this. Because if we can create all of these 3-4 speed bumps on the street, right? There must be some leftover tar to fill in the potholes. I'm just saying. So I was trying to just say, got me all nervous over here with the golden mic, but and being careful of my words. But I've been known to talk about my city. I think that's what really got me my name. Like, I could talk about my city because I love it, but this potholes probably could use the leftover tar.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm just saying if they work together, because if you could come up with money to and she got her speed bumps. I'm so mad at her when I was driving down the street today.
Yeah, I got my speed bumps too.
Whatever.
Like when I see
don't
people,
come on my street with them speed bumps. I'm gonna complain.
When I see people with like chargers passing through my street, I'm like.
But I think for me it's the thought of being in the back of an ambulance. You know what I mean? I think about that. So for me, that's the one thought. If we can get past that and they can get over the speed bump and say, okay, God bless. God bless.
Definitely. And yeah, so now let's move on to a few questions that I have for you. I mean, first of all, I just want to say, I've watched your videos and so on. I've been studying your resume. Not too much of it, but I've been looking through like social media and so on. And I've noticed you're a motivational speaker as well. And you're a woman of so many talents: motivational speaker, singer, creativity, everything all in one. And so, what inspired you to pursue a career as a motivational speaker? I know, basically, I don't know if something that you studied in school, but what kind of helped you or made you pursue that career?
The prophecy over my life when I was born is that I would speak to the masses. And I guess somewhere along the line, I kept believing that. Even when I thought my voice was silent, I would use my poems to express myself. So to me, that's motivational speaking. Songs, I just motivationally spoke. When you're speaking out to groups, you're motivational speaking, especially if you're doing something to uplift them. So my inspiration comes from knowing that I'm responsible for my voice.
Definitely. And your voice is powerful. It's powerful, and also in terms of just not just motivational speaker. Have you ever spoke in front of young kids, students, and so on? And how was that for you?
It's funny because I just did that a week ago, 2 days in a row by happenstance, one of them. And I walked into this place and I was on my way to a meeting, and it was this group of teenagers from McKinley High School. Big shout out to McKinley. And I remember this. And they were sitting in there and I'm like, what about your future? excuse me, can I talk to your kids? And the teachers was like, yeah. Like, after I said, what about your future? Like, can I talk to you? And what I found was that I'm passionate about my gifts, and my gifts help me to read rooms, right? And in that little impromptu setting, I found out who was interested in trades, and I found out who was interested in entrepreneurship, and who was interested in some government, in that 15 or less, I say 10 minutes of this impromptu, because they were waiting on a bus to come pick them up. I learned about a generation that's going to be my future leaders. And then the next day I had a chance to do it again. And that one was planned, but it was very, inspirational for me to do that.
All right. And a lot of people that tend to become like motivational speaker, I mean, growing up, were you like surrounded by like a lot of grown folks? Because, a lot of times like you get that wisdom, you want to do better. You want to inspire other like your peers or young people that you see. Did you grow up around older folks or just younger people?
My grandparent, I'm the eldest grand, I'm the eldest great grand, I'm the oldest child. That's why, even my family calls me queen. They raised me a certain way. So my grandparents were my best friends. Like I didn't know, people tell me now I speak in parables. I speak like my grandma. Now, better you smelling out outside, if you don't close the front door, the back. Like I say weird stuff and then I think about it. I'm like, I am really sounding like, and I've been like that a long time. So right. I would say I grew up around wisdom. Even though I didn't always make the right choices, I grew up around wisdom. So that made a big difference.
What do you mean by making the right choices? What were, okay, let's go back. What were some bad choices that you made? And how did you kind of like overturn them into better choices?
Well, first of all, I was a teen mom. Like, I don't know if that was the wisest choice in the world to be like, yeah, I'm a sophomore and I'm a mom. Like,
sophomore in high school?
Yeah. Man. Like, yeah. And I was so determined, it was crazy because I was a fighter. Like, straight up, like hands. Like what? You can get it. No, for real. Like, I ain't scared. Backing down for who? Man, woman, child, who? What we doing here?
What we doing?
Like, we out here. Like, we out here. Let's go.
Right.
So, that was a bad choice. And I did that for a long time. And when I spoke of domestic violence, I want people to understand something, because when you read my book, you're like, why she sound like she wants somebody to feel sorry for her, right? I don't. What I want people to be is aware that domestic violence is a two-way street. And so in my fighting, I found myself not only fighting back, but sometimes like, yo, what? Let's do this. This is what, and it was like, oh, this ain't normal. After you grow through it. So for me, some of the things that I did were behaviors that I picked up and accepted for a long time. And what it created was for lovely young men, right?
Right.
But it also created a lot of pain, which is what I went through. But after I looked through the pain, I found that joy came in the morning. So I still kept my responsibility to have my voice through everything I was going through. Are we fighting? Not a problem. Let's go to Juneteenth. Are we fighting tonight? We gonna argue tomorrow? No problem. Let's go to Kwanzaa. What? I'm getting up in the morning to do my blog, and I'm gonna tell somebody that we shall overcome one day, while I was back there with a black eye, but I got makeup, so we good. Like Tina Turner was telling us the truth. We didn't want to believe it,
right? But
that's real. Especially the part in the back of the cab when she was like, listen, we gonna fight back today. So I went through that, and what it did is it molded me into a woman to say that those behaviors had to stop being normal,
right? To
be a better example to someone else.
Yeah, and I had this conversation with one of my boys. His name is Randy. We talked about, because he grew up in a broken home, so you just developing those behavior, was it because of the environment you was in, or was it just behaviors that you kind of like got from your peers, like at school, at work, or just on the playground?
I come from the most uniquely blended family you can ever imagine, right?
Nice.
And I learned how to embrace that. So I have a dad and I have a mom. But very young, when they separated, I went through some things, I went through some, and I write about it in my book because I don't want anybody to feel isolated. I know what it's like to go through some things. So My mom raised me for a very little time, but she wasn't able. Now, once again, you remember I'm a unique creature. So nobody was able to ever like uniquely have me to themselves. So my mom had to share me with her whole family because I'm the first of their family. Then my dad had to share me with that. But when they broke, their brokenness was serious, right? So then dad gets remarried, mom goes to college, me, little baby, lives life. So going through those things, I saw what domestic violence was, but I learned from the male counterpart. So I never saw the weeping woman. I never saw that part, right? So I'm like, oh, my uncle's teaching me how to box. I'm out here, I'm fighting dudes, right? Like hands is licensed. Right. That's not cool. Right. But at the time, it was my mentality and my survival mode. So I saw it. And then you walk out the door and you from that side of town where you see it. I don't know how deep I can go, but I grew up when it was still hookers on Genesee. Like I saw hookers and pimps and I saw those things.
So Genesee was wilding like that.
Yeah, I saw.
So everything from Genesee moved to Broadway.
Oh yeah, Broadway. That's a whole nother dynamic. Like you go down here. I'm just saying, it's especially nowadays, especially with it being what it be. Go to Broadway if you're just interested in a lot, right? But Broadway had a dynamic to it itself. Now, believe it or not, back in the day, that Broadway area was filled with Polish people, and then we infused in, right? So you got to remember that the Broadway market, that situation down there, that's a very unique area in itself in Buffalo. Wow. And don't go visiting it during the Easter time because you ain't gonna get in.
Right. So growing up in a blended family, you guys were all together. Like how did y'all maintain that relationship? Because nowadays it's a lot of broken families. It's a lot of parents beefing with kids beefing with parents, siblings not getting along, and so on. But like, how did you guys manage, and what like things did you guys do in order to stay together?
We going toe to toe. What you mean? We gonna talk about it. I don't care if you don't like me tomorrow. And the funny thing is, I come from the type of blended family where like me and my stepmom, we're very close. My step siblings, you can't tell me that they not really mine, even though they really, Then I got my other siblings. But I come from a family that grew into maturing on love. When we were younger, I think we didn't know how to handle sitting down, talking about getting to know each other. I still remember the conversations like, yo, y'all, I know I'm a little weird, but I know I get up like 4:00 in the morning when we go on family vacations, but I really don't sleep, but I'm an art head. You know what I mean? I do. This is just who I am. I haven't discovered pure relationships back then. I didn't understand, certain things back then. But we grew and are still growing into conversations. I was talking to my dad on the way here. Part of the reason after I get off the pitch, I got 5 minutes, right? I'm trying to build a brand here. And that's the other thing is identifying your role in family. You come from broken families and everybody may not see what you see. And we think the Bible, this is the other part of me, okay? Don't judge me. But I love the Bible because it's like the basic instruction before leaving the earth. So when I look at it and I watch Bible movies, I be like, yo, they went through that too.
I'm safe where I'm at. They went through that too.
Yo, that daughter just went off on dad too. That son just said, yo, for real, did the king just like, yo. So I look at that, and then I look at what part spirituality plays in overcoming, right? So if I'm not supposed to have an alt against you, right, and I'm supposed to go to you if I do, then how can I look at my real family any different than I'm handling this community? Because I've been known to like, yo, we going to fight out here at this rally, and then I'm going to take you over to my mom's restaurant, and we going to sit down and eat and bake bread. Is that okay? And they be like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to cuss you out. You going to cuss me out. Then we going to go eat together, right?
That's toxic.
That's love.
That's love.
That's love, right? Because we don't have to agree all the time.
Right.
And if we understand what parts we disagree at, we have safe boundaries, right? And that's growing into love. So now I can break bread with you, even though I had to hear you in a different mannerism. One of the songs I wrote, I said, so I can hear you loud and clear. I can hear you in my ear. I want to understand those that I love in a magnitude that I can say, okay, I agree with you. We good. Let's go eat. Or I don't agree with you and we good. Let's go eat. But I still want to be able to say, as long as I got life, I got health, I got a sound mind. Because technically, what I done been through, supposed to be like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Wow. Yeah, so you've been through a lot. You've been through a lot, and also, yeah, that's the most important thing. That's why I wanted to ask you that question when you mentioned blended family, because a lot of time I see all these people like, bro, like, aren't you guys blood? Like, what's going on, man? Like, blood is thicker than water. I understand there could be issues that could come apart. I mean, that could set you guys apart, but at the end of the day, find a way to come back together. You know.
But I'm gonna be honest.
I mean, some family members are crazy.
Right. And this is the other thing that I had to find out about blended, right? Especially when you're coming from, say for instance, okay, so my stepmom is my stepmom. I'm just talking to somebody to help them figure it out. My dad is my dad, but my stepmom has family that may not be my family. Right. So you begin to look at that and say, how does that become family? You connect. But I also look at people in the community that becomes my family because we connect, that can sit at my parents' table and I'm not worried about them crossing no lines. So I think what we also have to start realizing, especially as African American people, right, is that we have to stop letting certain things divide us, because we really don't know if we connected it or not. We really, there's no definition of black that has defined whether we are all related or not. So just watch it, you know?
Definitely. All right. And so now let's move on to the next part. The most important part is, the reason why I hit you up is because I saw you at first. Actually, I remembered you. I'm like, man, I saw this woman before. It was at Jukebox. You had a show, you was performing, and I was very, very amazed. And you really made people get up, people were enjoying you. Like, you really know how to perform. I was like, man, like, one day I just want to have her on my podcast. And we had a conversation that day. And I think I got your Instagram that day. And then from the Instagram, after I got my studio, I'm like, you know what? let's make it happen. Because before I used to just, record just anywhere. Like, I was more like a mobile podcast. Like, I'm recording almost anywhere. I'm recording in the car, at the park. If you see my videos, everywhere.
Nothing wrong with that.
I found a way to record everywhere. And so now let's talk about your music journey. So when did you first discovered your voice and said, you know what, this is something that I'm really passionate about?
When everybody kept telling me I couldn't sing.
When was that?
Like most of my life until about 4 years ago. Like, I'm tone deaf. Wow. So I had to find, as you know, they got the movie called Pitch Perfect or Perfect Pitch. I don't have a perfect pitch. So I love people like Nina Simone, and I had to study people like, why is Lauryn Hill okay with being raspy? And I like blues, but I also like soul music. So I kind of put myself in between neo soul and blues. So I would say about 5 years ago, I just started, like, I already wrote poems, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play a little bit. And then 4 years ago, I recorded my first song, which I was like, oh, okay. And I would say it took from then until now to get JVM Studios to believe in my music with me, because I'm like, no, I got music that I feel good. I don't know how somebody else feels, but let's see, right? And for the past 2 years, I have put in time, effort, and a lot into my music, because that's just another way to express my voice. I already published the first 2 books, and I have an Oprah Winfrey complex. I'm like, one day I just want to hold, and so I'm on my way. I got my branding out now. I actually have Crocs. I have mugs. I have cups. I have shirts. I have books. I have pens. I have journals. I got a nail girl that you can go see. I got a hair tech. So I promote businesses that make their customers remember that they're top of the mind. Right. And I do that because, just like my music, I want people to feel everything that it takes to, be a great artist.
Right. And that's amazing. And also, like, when people, so let me say, when people started discovering, oh wow, like, she can sing, what was going through your head? Like, did you feel like, okay, now I got them, like, this is my doubters, now look at them all supporting me? Did you feel that way, or was it something like motivational for you to keep going?
This is the part where my team if they were sitting here today, they would be like, tell the truth. I cry because the response that I even got from my album release, all I knew is I wanted everybody else to leave feeling royal. yes, I want you to celebrate this day with me, but I want you to feel royal when you leave. And when people left, they were like, "Oh my God, this song you sounded like Tina Turner, and this song you sounded like," and they like, "Oh my God, I didn't know you a heck of a performer, you da 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 da." And over the last 2 years, really embracing the business of Take a Solar Moment as an outreach specialist, right? What does that look like? Anytime I'm getting a platform and I'm reaching out to the people, it's a humbling experience. My music is humbling. My poetry is humbling. When I speak to the community or to the young people, it's humbling. So I don't think and sometimes my team is like, can you give yourself a little bit more credit? But it's not my gift. Right. So I only know how to give it back. I haven't gotten to that point yet where I'm like, it feel good. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, yo, we did that. Oh my God. And they be looking like, okay, where's the self-gratitude? The self-gratitude is when God lets me get up and I can do it again.
Definitely. And also, parents, did they support you?
My parents didn't understand crap about me. Let's just be honest. Like, I think they just coming into the.
So they were just.
That was the best question yet. Like, no, they didn't understand. They like, you're always doing stuff, and we don't know what you're doing. One day you're at Juneteenth, the next day you're at a rally, and then tomorrow you're talking about you're in the studio, and then we see you at the Paul Robeson in the play. Like, I don't know what you're doing, and you're raising your boys. Are they being raised? I'm like, yeah, they boys. They all right. They ate. They don't work. They won't eat. I had that mentality, so I was a hustler, and I would always get the jobs that, in the words of I wish you would find something that you just love to do. And I'm like,
who said that?
My parents, all of them, all of them. My two moms, my dad. Like, I think somewhere along the line, I got like one uncle that's like, she gonna be all right. Everybody else.
The one person.
That one person in the family, like, don't worry about it. She gonna come out on top. But I think it took for me to understand how to, if I'm gonna use a word, capitalize on my gifts. Right. Like, I wouldn't care about going to an event. You having a birthday party? Give me the mic. Let me MC. Quit playing. Let me get some cake and some ice cream and we good, right? Now I'm like, hold on. I just worked 3 hours with cake and ice cream? Because that ain't by this outfit. Right. But I also learned that that's invested into my gift, right? So my parents never understood it because it was so much involved. And I'm a biggest introvert, extrovert you'll ever meet. So I can go to family functions, sit in the corner and be on social media all day. And I'm telling them myself, I love y'all though. I guess, yeah. But I be working. It's like I'm working. I'm meeting quotas. I'm posting at a certain time. I'm making sure that if I'm doing an event, I'm giving that client that attention online, making people know that they exist. Like, right. And then the other part, I'm kind of like, I don't want to talk. Unless I have to.
Right, like, leave me alone.
Okay, I got a puppy. I just take the puppy to everything. I almost brought her today. My son was like, Mom, leave the dog with me. I was like, okay, well, can you just make sure she gets her salad? And, Your
dog be eating salad.
Yeah. I have the quietest chihuahua you'll ever meet.
One thing about Chihuahua, actually, that's unique then. Because Chihuahuas be loud. I was about to say a Chihuahua chased me and the owner was like, stop, it's not gonna bite you. I'm like, bro, the dog is small. If I stop and he bites me, I don't want to get in trouble, So I just kept running. Phew, I took off. All right, and also just growing up as an artist, did you ever sing in church? Or because a lot of artists, when they're growing up, they tend to say, oh, I started off singing in church. And then from church, then I started doing all different types of music.
You want me to tell you the truth?
I want you to tell us the truth.
They didn't let me in the choir.
Why?
At no church I've ever been to.
Why? I thought they're supposed to be welcoming,
It's like, no.
Like, why was that?
I told you I was tone deaf. So you put me in between a alto and a tenor and a soprano, and I'm gonna find a place. Just put me in the middle.
Oh, they put you in the middle.
I did learn how to direct at a very early age, but I have an aunt, and I gotta give her a shout out because to this day, this lady still supports every piece of my art. Aunt Connie, and she taught me a long time ago. You're a creative artist, so I would have my cousin do the singing because she can blow like. When I tell you the girl can woo and all the yeah, right? And I can dance like she can sing. So I learned how to liturgical dance very early on in the church. So my spirit automatically would align with certain songs. So not only did I dance in church, but I taught the power of praise dancing, because that's actually a whole lesson behind it. People don't know that. Right. So for me in church, I did get my humble beginnings on how to act. We used to do plays in church. You learn leadership in church. You learn responsibility in church. You learn organizational skills. You know, so I learned a lot. And I started off in the AME Zion Church, but by the time I was done, I graduated to be Pentecostal, Muslim, and Jewish.
Wow. So and which one did you choose though? Like,
I chose God.
Amen. How did you manage to grow up and actually being able to practice all those religions? Because, you know, most people are loyal to just one. You know,
they were very loyal to, and they still are, and that's cool, right?
Right.
That shows me a lot. But for me, I've always said, how can I be a friend of this God or his son, and I don't know nothing about him? So I thought that I would find him in the AME Zion Church, and his people was there, and his spirit would show up.
Right.
And going along, Nation of Islam, I've studied is Sunni Islam. I took my Shahada. You can't tell me nothing, because I went through a whole couple years of studying that. And then for the last 13 years, I studied the Shabbat. And what I found after spending that much time in temple and keeping holy days, and wow, he did Passover, and that counts up to 50. That's where Pentecost comes from. So it's not just when you want it, right? So I started reading with a more shamak, a more intentional way of understanding a way of life. So now for me, and I guess everybody do it in their own way, I implement all of that. I'm implementing prostrating before God. You know, if I can pray 5 to 10 times a day, I'm going to do that. If I can go into a temple right now and you let me come up in there and worship, hey, why wouldn't I? Because I'm going to worship one true living God, because that's all I know. And no matter where I've gone, y'all keep trying to make him different, and he ain't. You know where I met him at? In the street when I was homeless with my kids. You know where I met him at? When I was dying and people didn't know because I was too busy looking cute on Facebook. You want to know where I met him at? On Jefferson, when I thought I wanted to take one job and go one way, and I heard the Spirit of the Lord tell me that I had to stay here. And then when I stayed here, he put me in a position to host Friday Night Lives and Funk Fest, which is something that's the biggest community engagement opportunity. I met him when a whole nother race called me and said, I want you to support Slow Roll and come out and bring that energy. That's where I met him at. It wasn't in a temple, so I mean, it wasn't in the church. It wasn't.
Right.
So.
No, I understand. And it's within you, you know. It's
right.
The spirit within you, and you believe what you believe, so nobody can ever go against it.
And I want everybody to believe, because I learn.
Right.
I learn, and I love being connected to people who just love God, no matter how you look at it, right? I can go to the mosque and put my head, and I'm okay when the salats are being made. I can go into a holiness church, and if they shouting and the Spirit of the Lord touch me, I'm okay with that, because I'm free in him. And I had to realize that about myself. You get so condemned with trying to be religious that we forget to let the Spirit flow. So for me, I had to learn to let the Spirit flow. And wherever he tells me to go, that's where I'm going to go.
Right. Definitely. And also, this goes to my next question. So when, as a singer and a songwriter, how do you find inspiration for your music? When you're writing your music, what do you write about, and how do you find that inspiration?
Sometimes it's actually through the music. It speaks to me. I got a song called The Power of If. And the power of if is like endless possibilities that remind me that if. Like, I went in the studio when I cut this, my producer was like, where the rest of the song? 99 memories of ifs on the wall. Time after time, chasing the ifs of it all. The framed picture of you would be so true. But only who knew, if love could measure up in time, if could still blow my mind, if I could, if you would, could you still love me? And the power of if should remind us that we have endless possibilities if we put our mind to it, if we understand that forgiveness is real, if. And by the time I was done with the if, right? I just did that and I walked out the studio and he was like, what is missing? I said, a male. Because my if is my if. But if I never know his memories, they're going to stay on the wall in a frame. So I need him to talk to me. And then Jay VZ came along and he said some dope words. And it was like, I know your prayers. I know what you think. And then, you know, the way we perform it, we better than Usher and Alicia Keys. Like he hugged me and everything. And that was surprising to my crowd too. They's like, she let somebody hug her. Oh my God. Is that real? Is that her dude? Oh my God. Oh, she got married again. What's up? Like, right? And it was just me showing that I became more vulnerable. I'm not as hard as I used to be. Because the power of if prevails. So I get my inspiration through growth. I get my inspiration through life. I get my inspiration through nature. I love nature.
So you're a nature person. You like to go out, walk. I mean, the weather is getting so much better now.
Yeah, I'm a fish. I'm a Pisces straight through and through. So me and nature are one. I don't even know how I'm surviving in Buffalo in the wintertime. I used to hibernate. I used to be like, no, I'll quit my job and like come out when it's I don't know. I had a serious hustle.
So you used to work seasonal every
I was very seasonal. As a matter of fact, I was, because I did tour guide. I was a tour guide for about 10, 15 years on the Underground Railroad here. So I really did only work when it was warm outside.
No, I feel you. And yeah, so now let's take a look at a few other things. So what messages or theme do you thrive to convey through your music itself? Like, when let me say you go in the studio and you make a song, like what message are you trying to really, really get out of there for your audience and just everybody to kind of like relate to?
Transparency. Like, for instance, the one that says, is this the best sex that you've ever had? I know my dad is still like, what in the world? What do you? He was like, I'm not coming to that show. I know, I get it. You don't want to answer the question, but when you and mom in the room, y'all probably going to play it. Just forget that I wrote it, right? But the transparency for me through music is when you allow people to feel what you're feeling, hear what you're saying, and you believe it, right? So I write songs that make me sit back and say, yo, that's how I felt. And I like to get beats. One of my producers is DJ King Shot. Like 3-4 of my beats on the album that's about to drop came from him. But when he gave me the music, he knew where my mental was at the time. And it took me 3 years to perfect what went with that, right? Where I can perform it with a live band or on track. But when you hear my music, I want you to leave saying, if. Like, I want you to leave repeating something. I want you to leave thinking about that one hook. I wasn't ready. Like, I want you to leave thinking about, man or woman, I've been there. So that's what I do.
Right. That's amazing. And also just being a woman itself, what are some misconception about being a woman in your profession though?
That because I'm sensual, that I'm like, I think that's a misconception, period.
Because you know, when women are sexual, or I mean, they speak something sexual in their music, people tend to look at them different compared to like when men do it. Like, how do you feel when you?
I stand my ground. I think when I wrote I Wasn't Ready, and in the subject of head and doing in bed, I think I was kind of mild compared to some of the things that I've heard lately. But what I had to tell them is, just as well as you have gone through your sexual or emotional experience as a male, and from Luke on down to, you know, back up again to some of the more R&B artists, right? I feel like as a woman, we should have that freedom to say how we feel and what we want. And we should not always have to have a love song that goes bad, right? We don't always have to talk about how he left me, right? We can just go through, hey, acknowledge this is how I feel, and can we move from here? Can I meet you somewhere? So I think as a woman, the misconception is just because I'm sensual does not mean that everything that comes through me is sexual. Because I like looking pretty. I come from a place where I didn't always feel comfortable. When I started wearing tight jeans, I'm just really being honest. Guys was like, yo, all of that been up under there all them years? Yeah. But yeah. But I had to get to that point, and my art helped me to do this. And I'll share this with you really quickly. I can't be a lazy artist. I mean, I still need to work out a little bit more. Right. But what I found is,
now.
I know, right? What I found is that if I don't keep my body in certain shape, I don't really need to do the rest of it. You know, it's like being in ministry, but I can't chase you around the church because I'm out of shape, or I'm on stage and I'm giving you a lazy show because I'm out of shape. So that's another thing that comes with it as a misconception, is that women don't have to work just as hard, and we do.
Yeah, and you guys are like killing the game too, you know. And I respect that. I respect that when people actually stand their ground. Where I'm from, though, is different story. It's a lot of.
Why is that?
It's a lot of stereotypes. You know, a woman is supposed to, do this. A man can do this. Like, let me say, if you was a woman from my country and you singing those type of music, the whole community would be on your butt. They would be saying so much. But when a guy is doing it, it's different. That's why I asked that question, because it's just a different culture, a different environment, and to see like how people actually take it from their own perspective when you're actually delivering that message. So my next question here is, I mean, every artist have a memorable experience, where let's talk about the greatest artists like Michael Jackson performing. People will faint. People will, a whole lot of things will be happening. You feel me? And so as an artist yourself, can you share like a memorable experience where your music and even your words made a significant impact on someone's life?
Wow. I don't know where to start. I'll use my most recent show. I think that the performance that I was able to deliver for the 420 show was the most talked about performance I've ever done. It was something that I literally performed on a Saturday and was still hearing about it up until like 2 days ago, or like yesterday and today. Wow. But people know what I went through for that show. And then even those who don't know what I went through to get that show, like, I feel like I gave them everything I had. And once again, I love for people to feel something. So not only did I give them me, but I don't mind sharing my stage. So I was able to give them my story through other artists as well. So, yeah.
That's amazing when you can leave that impact on someone. How you be feeling though? For example, let me say you're performing, and you see people like, oh my God, like the reactions in the crowd. Like how how you be feeling? Like what be going through your mind like in that moment?
Oh, it's the plug-in. It's the plug-in. You definitely want to connect with your audience, and when you connect with that one eye that be like, yeah, you like, ooh, it just makes you feel. I zone out, to be honest, without these, I can't see nothing. So
so you can't see nothing.
Not really. Like, no, I can see the colors, right? I can see that. I can't see detail. Right. So a lot of times when I'm performing, I'm drawn to energy. Right? I can feel where the energy in the room, I can hear where the voice is coming from, and it feels freaking great. And then when you come down, you realize that you done use muscles, you done been tense, you done dance, and you like, oh snap. But you do that, and it feels it's invigorating. It's welcoming, but I ain't gonna lie to you, it's nerving. Because if you don't get an audience, depending on, like, if as a musical artist, if you hit the wrong, I've been there before. Wrong note, wrong key, wrong band. Oh my God, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, some people don't catch it though. Like, I feel like the audience don't really catch it as much as you.
Okay, that day if they had a gong, they would have gonged me. And I would have gave them the stick to hit the gong. It was that bad. And it was the most teachable moment I've ever had being an artist. Like, it was horrible.
When you went home, like, what was going? Like, how did you feel by?
I'm already critical of my
You're like, man, like,
right. And so,
do you think? Okay, I'll keep going. So,
no, I was just gonna say I beat myself up that night.
but do you think that's a good thing though?
Not all the time.
Okay.
That's why I keep people around me who allow me the space to remember that grace exists. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Because I could be so hard on myself, and my business manager would say, "Now 5 people just emailed you after that performance, so you can get mad over that one note, or you could get mad over that one delay, or you could call and get that birthday party, that retirement party, that family reunion, and the youth, And so I have people around me now. I'm very funny about who in my ear. Like if I even think you negative, no disrespect to you, you probably won't get access to me now because I went through all of that. Like when anybody could say something to me and I'm we empath, or we're people who pick up spirit, right? So I guard it. So for me, that's very important because I can be very critical.
Definitely. Nah, energy is powerful, man. Make sure you surround yourself around people with positive energy because that's kind of play a huge role.
It really does.
Like you said, if you feel like you beating yourself down, when you surround yourself around those people that actually see your full potential, they're gonna uplift you. They're gonna make sure they bring you back up. So my last question, there's a lot of things that we can do, and it can inspire other people. And you just being at the time that you're in right now, still doing your music and still enjoying it to the full potential. What message would you give aspiring female artists looking to break into the industry? Because there's a lot of people that want to do music as well.
Don't let your music be your only outlet. I think that's very important. In June, I have an opportunity that we're taking advantage of for Black Music Month, and it's a listening party, right? But the quantifications for this, the qualifications, and I say quantifications because there's a quality, there's what you quantify to see if you're an artist, and then there's what you have to do to get in. One of the things is you have to have merchandise. If you're a real artist who can actually produce music, right, and you're wanting people to follow you, what is your upsell? Because they're only going to download, especially nowadays, right, so many digital points of platform. But when you're at a show, what is it that's laced out on your table that's going to identify how they can get in touch with you? Right. The other thing about your music, and I'm seeing a lot of artists do this and I love it, remember that you're an entertainer. If you are able to do that, because a lot of people don't know there's a difference between just a singer. I'm not just a singer. I'm a full-fledged entertainer. I can go into acting. I can go into hosting. I can go into merchandise. I can cut commercials and voiceovers, right? It's so many different platforms that I have allowed myself to venture in. And in this season, I'm allowing the music to lead. In the other season, I allowed the book to lead. So I would say to any aspiring artist, make sure you capture their journal or your journey. Capture and journal your journey. And then on top of that, make sure that you have something that will commemorate who you are as an artist, so that when people think about you, they can say, oh yeah, that mug. Oh yeah, when I saw her in concert, that's from that concert, remember? Right. So I think that's very important.
Very, very important. And that's why I tell people, never be afraid to risk your last dollar to invest into your craft. Like as an artist, like buy a mic, buy a computer, make some shirts. Like you just give it all out there, And a lot of people tend to be like, I'm an artist, but they let music just be their own outlet.
But when you don't have a show, but there's an opportunity for you to be at a show, right? And so, for instance, if you could vend there, and even though you're not performing, if you could vend and you have your information, your merch and everything, you're still building your audience. You're still building that funnel that you need to let them know, not necessarily what you're just doing next, but who you are as an artist. I think that's the other part.
Right.
People interested in my music because they've been trying to figure me out, not necessarily because I'm the best artist in the world. It's like, where'd that come from? What she got to say? So use that to your advantage, and let it work for you.
Definitely. Make sure you do that, man. Make sure you do that. And also, I don't want to forget, let's talk about the book just for a little bit. What's the title of your book for the people that might want to purchase it?
Cast Iron Omissions Memoir.
Okay.
And that's where Take a Solar Moment was born. Inside of the book, I give real life examples of a memoir. Some people are like, yo, am I in the book? You might be. Who knows? I don't know. Gotta read it, right? If you're from Buffalo, east side, west side, don't matter. You might be, right? Because I tell some truths in there. But in between the truths, my publicist was like, you realize you knew how to get out? So Cast Iron Omissions, inside of there is where Take a Solar Moment came from, because it's like after the chapter, you got to stop and take a solar moment and think about it. Where you going? So that is available on Amazon, usually in the car. And today is just one of those clean out car days. It's also available in the several libraries throughout the city of Buffalo, Erie County libraries. And it's used as a domestic violence curriculum on several campuses across the U.S.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I'm gonna make sure I check it out, and I'll make sure we just send me a picture of it, and then we could put it right here.
I definitely will do that.
That way they can go ahead and check it out. But yeah, thank you so much. That was amazing. The performance, everything.
I enjoyed. Like it was definitely good. I feel like it was just a good conversation.
Definitely.
And God bless you for what you're doing and how you're leading this generation into responsible reporting, right? And positivity. So I want to thank you for that as well.
Thank you so much. Hey man, this is Issa Pinchard Podcast, with your one and only host, Glory Boy. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like, share, and go follow Solar Moments on Instagram, Facebook too, or
it's Googleable. So if you
Googleable, man.
Take a Solar Moment, it's Googleable. That's really what
Definitely. Go ahead and do that, man. Thank you so much. And we outside. Let's go.